Welcome to my world here on YouTube. I'm your host, Moises Beauchamp, welcoming you to another show here on the channel. Once again, we are talking about the biblical betrayal of 6-year-old little Dulce Maria Alavez. This little girl's been missing for almost a year now. Today, once again, I have my co-host, Miss Brenda, here with me. She's here with me. Say what's up to everybody, Miss Brenda.
Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Give us one moment. How do you put that on there?
Yes, indeed. Miss Brenda is here with me today, and there's this new report going on the Amber Alert probe of this missing 6-year-old little girl. And Miss Brenda, she's gonna go through this new information that was put out there. So with that said, I'm gonna let Miss Brenda take it away. She's gonna go through this article with everyone.
Okay, give me one moment.
Go ahead, Miss Brenda, and take it away.
All right. So, as you know, like on August 23rd, they released an actual article with a more than current update on her disappearance, and I thought that it was very interesting because they labeled it "Missing Christian Girl Dulce Alavez likely abducted in a crime of opportunity," FBI agent says. Now, it says, investigators searching for a little girl who disappeared from a Christian park more than 11 months ago believe she was likely abducted by someone looking for an opportunity to take a child. Now, when they say that like that, it can mean that that day in the park, it was most likely that Dulce wasn't even a target. It kind of makes it seem like, someone was just there, at the right place at the right time, and they seen that there was no parent present, and that person probably couldn't even see over the humps to notice that maybe that parent's child, the child's parent was parked in a car. They didn't see any of that. They just seen 2 children unattended, and they just decided to take one. Now, they say they also believe surveillance videos harvested from the area could show the abductor's vehicle. That's a good thing. That means that they haven't given up yet until find out exactly which vehicle took her out of that park. Because I'm telling you, there is no way, no how that you can't. There's too much camera. It's just taking them a little bit more time to be able to come up with a license plate. But it says Dulce Maria Alavez was 5 when she vanished during a family outing to Bristol City Park on the afternoon of September 16, 2019. She was 5 at the time. Like they stated, she is 6 now. She just had a birthday. Her mother had taken her kids to the park and remained in the car while Dulce and her 3-year-old brother Manuel ran to the playground 30 yards away. Minutes later, Dulce's mother says she walked to the playground and found only Manuel. Dulce was gone. Now, can you imagine just walking up to the playground, wondering where your kids are at? Only one is there crying about an ice cream and the other one's not to be found. It could only be multiple things that you could have thought of. For one, she thought Dulce was playing hide and go seek. And let me tell you, it's a real common thing for parents to believe that their child actually went to go play hide and go seek. Maybe not all of us might flip out like some, and would just automatically assume that someone stole your child. But there's some parents that actually think, okay, maybe my baby is playing hide and go seek. And then after a while that you're calling your child's name, you're going to say to yourself, no, it's impossible that she's playing hide and go seek, because now she's not appearing. So then that's probably why at that time she called her brother, came with a dog or whatnot. But anyway, the FBI quickly joined the investigation and an Amber Alert was issued. While authorities have been reluctant to share many details, a lead investigator on the case recently shed new light on what may have happened during an interview with New Jersey Advanced Media as the anniversary of her disappearance approaches. So that means, it being that next month is her anniversary, something came along that's super awesome to where this article has came out. Hello, Beth. This article has came out and has actually shed a new light into what we actually think could have happened to Dulce, versus thinking that maybe the mom sold her for drugs and it was gang related and all of that stuff. Not saying that we could rule that out, but per this article, it makes us more to think that she wasn't sold over for drugs. Now it says, if you are looking for a child to take the child, you go where children are, said FBI Special Agent Daniel Garibrandt. That's one of the reasons that we believe that the target was a child, but it may not necessarily have been Dulce. We've had cases like this across the country where offenders go to places where children are and they would have access to children and they wait for the opportunity. Hello, Elena. Now, that's correct. You would have to go to where children are. Absolutely right. And where else would you want to go? To a park. Now, what's bad about this park is that this park is a real active park. I mean, they chose a great park to kind of take a child out of there, because if you would have to go there to understand how busy that park is. That park is not a type of park that you could just go there and not see anybody. You see everybody there, and everybody says hi to you. You can walk by and not say nothing, but somebody always says hi to you. So someone acknowledges someone at all times. And since this kidnapping looks so normal, the person probably walked right by and didn't even notice that an abduction was taking place. And that's something that we have to remember, because you don't know that you actually witnessed something until you go home and you're like, maybe that guy that just passed by me and brushed me off because he was rushing. Those are signs, and especially if you were at the park and you've seen somebody like that showed all of that. Maybe somebody was in a rush. Maybe somebody was in or around that area too many times, because you can notice that. Maybe there was somebody who was just there with no kids, and you seen that they left the area and then they came back and they were staring at your child. Those, as this article says, it doesn't seem to say that Dulce was the one that was a target. So any other children that were there at the park that day seem to have been a target. And it says, in this case, it was broad daylight. Mom being distracted for a short period of time, and Dulce and her brother being far enough away that the offender felt like it was an opportunity for him to take Dulce and leave with her, and that's what he did. He seized the opportunity. He's seen two kids unattended, and if you can't see the swings, guess what? The abductor can't see you either. Unless he's seen you pull up and notice that you was taking an awfully long time in the car, then that's a whole different story. Or he's already seen your routine, because maybe this person was already a frequent park tripper, and he notices anything. It says, Dulce's mother, Noema Alavez Perez, told police she remained in her car checking a scratch-off lottery ticket and helping her 8-year-old sister with homework. The sister noticed she could no longer see the kids at the playground, prompting them to go check on the children. So whether Noema was unaware of what was going on and she was focused on her scratching her lottery ticket and whatever else that she was doing in between, her sister was aware that the children were alone at the park. And even her being aware, doing her homework and seeing what Norma was doing, she was still paying attention, knowing that the kids were out there in the park. So that just states that, they were paying attention. The playground is located next to a few storage buildings. The playground is located next to a few storage buildings, and the abductor could have parked along the street on the other side of those buildings and waited, the agent said. And it's true, because there's a street that you can go up, and it goes right behind those buildings, and you can't even see a car that's coming up that way because of the way that the basketball courts sit up a little bit high. You can't really see, the cars coming through there, but you can hear them if you're paying attention. The person's intent may not have been to take a kid, according to Gabarant, an East Coast leader for the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. It could have been maybe to watch children because that's what they liked, and the opportunity presented itself, and they did what they did. So not necessarily that he thought he was going to go get anybody out of there. He just seemed to enjoy watching children. And then that's shocking, because a lot of us think, and it's not that the family is ruled out yet, but a lot of us assume or still thinking that she has something to do with her kidnapping. But you already knowing that this article came out and said that this person has been out there eye candying your children, or even yourself, because it didn't state whether it was going to be a kid. It could have been anybody that day. It could have been anybody that day, because you don't just wake up and say, I'm going to take me a kid today. It's always, if that's how they think and they're abductors, then they would always think like that. They would always think of an opportunity, if they was to ever see an opportunity, to take it. And this time they seen an opportunity, so they took it. Investigators and family members cling to the hope that Dulce is alive. That's just about everybody that has been searching and passing awareness and doing what what we're supposed to be doing. Still have hope that she's alive. At this time, it's 11 months in, and we're about to be into a full year, but a lot of people still hang on to the hope, that they haven't done anything that's crazy. It also says nothing has been discovered to suggest otherwise, Gabarant said. No physical remains have been found, and searchers have combed the immediate area around the park. A hunting season has come and gone, and nothing has been discovered in the fields and woodlands surrounding Bushton, he added. And that is true, because they do have a lot of hunting going on in that area. They do have a lot of hunting. They do have a lot of people jogging. They do have people that love to be in the woods, just drinking or whatever. So at this time, in the woods, pretty sure something would have been found by now.
Right, because usually during hunting season, you have your hunters that are out there hunting, number one, and they're visually aware of situations like this. They would find a little body if it was out there. Another thing is that during hunting season, you have these animals out there trying to survive. So we would have found something by now. So me myself, I tend to kind of agree with the premonition that this little girl is still alive, in my opinion.
Hey, Kelly.
Real quick, giving a shout out to everybody in the chat room. As you coming in, support the stream by hitting that like button and sharing as well.
And Danielle made a good statement. A good comment. You go to where children are at, a coach or something in the school system. Could be. You really had to think that you was gonna come out of that park without getting seen. As active as that park is, that person had enough courage to know he was going to drive out of there with a kid. There was no way he wasn't thinking about getting caught. He knew it was going to, be a smooth old kidnapping. It says, I'm working under the premise and the assumption that she's still alive, he said. So here goes the description of the suspect that they give out in this article. The park was a popular spot on the warm September afternoon when Dulce vanished. And they're not lying. You had fishing. If you look at the prime times from fishing, they are from 1 to 4 in September of 2019. Over there in Sunset Lake. Then you had soccer. You have jogging. It's a beautiful fall day. Plus you're walking your dogs. It's the type of weather that people were able to go out there and actually enjoy, actually want to be outside. It was that kind of weather. So you would know that. And plus there was 24 people playing basketball, but not at that part of the park. A lot of people need to understand when they say park, they're not just meaning that little park section where she went missing. That when they say park, they say it as in a whole. Just because there was other basketball courts on the other side. Yeah, there was a tent with mattress, and we have found a lot of crazy stuff in those woods.
It still doesn't explain how a person just poof vanishes out of nowheres like that. I mean, it has to be some sort of explanation somewheres down the line.
Yep. It says about 24 people were playing basketball nearby. And that's where a lot of us is getting it wrong, because when we hear that, we say, but in the Dr. Phil show, Noema states that there was only 2 girls at the basketball courts. That part of the park where she was at, that specific basketball court with that specific swing set, there was 2 young ladies there. And the other one that's on Mayor Aikens Road that was just built by the mayor, rebuilt, that is where the 24 players were at. That is a very active basketball court. You can drive by there every day and you'll see dozens of people there playing basketball. No, Pelly, nobody's looked back to any, that we know, that we're aware of. We're not sure how they will do about the local homeless people, but I'm pretty sure they will have that down packed, because the mayor runs a Cold Blue in one of his churches and involves a lot of the homeless. And another thing that was happening that day too is that after the kidnapping, there was actually a Cold Blue event at one of the churches, and they were giving out clothes. That could have been another place where this kidnapper could have went and exchanged his clothing, and we didn't know. So I don't know if everybody was aware, but the mayor does work with a lot of homeless people, and I'm pretty sure that everyone in that department should have came together to make sure that none of the clothes was submitted to a clothing, to like a Salvation Army or anything like that. But it says, witnesses confirmed seeing kids at the playground. From there, 2 descriptions emerged of the investigator believe it's the same person. They believe it because maybe one person didn't see as much as the other one, but it's really all one person. And they probably don't even know which one is just as accurate. It says, from there, 2 descriptions emerged of what the investigators believe is the same person. A Hispanic man about 5 feet 8 inches tall, about 30 to 35 years old, with acne. This could be the abductor, according to the FBI agent. Now, in the beginning, when it came out, they said he was a witness. They wanted to talk to him. They said they didn't want to call him the abductor. But now, in this article, the FBI agent...
From a witness person of interest, now he's being called the abductor.
Per this article.
Correct.
Yep, because it says this could
Allegedly.
be the abductor. It says there's a probability that the person was a younger Hispanic male, Gabarant said. That's because we do have some witnesses that saw a Hispanic male in the park in and around the playground that we have not identified. We don't know who that is. It's very possible that that is the offender. That is the offender. So we went from these two descriptions before of this gentleman that possibly had two children, a little girl and a little boy, and possibly had witnessed an abduction. Now we're going into maybe he possibly could have been the abductor. It's very possible that it's the offender. So look out, ladies, because I'm telling you, one of you ladies out there is genuinely sleeping next to somebody that done kidnapped, that done got this little girl. And you know why they didn't do it to your kids? Because it's different. They didn't want to do it to your kids. They found enjoyment somewhere else. It says the first description indicated the man had no facial hair, while the image released with the second description shows a man with facial hair. Because like we said, maybe, you know, people saw him at a quick glimpse, but you can always tell what a person is wearing versus their facial description. Maybe somebody else, maybe he went up to somebody and asked for a light to a cigarette. That's common. Somebody will come up to you and ask you for a lighter to a cigarette, or what, or just even hello, and you might have startled him, and he probably was like, oh yeah, I'm here with my nieces and my nephews. And sometimes you'll spark up a quick conversation. You probably talked to this man and didn't even know that his intentions was gonna steal somebody that day. Now it says, in one description, he was allegedly seen ushering a girl into a red van. However, Gambaran said the vehicle information may not be accurate. So, the red van, it might not be accurate. It says, we have literally gotten thousands and thousands of red van leads. None of them have panned out to date. While the playground does not have cameras, agents have spent thousands of hours scrutinizing gigabytes of surveillance video from homes and buildings in the immediate area around the park in search of a suspect vehicle. Gambaran said they have ruled out every vehicle on camera except for about 10 to 12 because of lack of a visible license plate or too general of a description. Some of the video isn't very clear. Now, I don't understand when they say too general of a description. What does that mean?
I guess what they're saying there when they're saying too general of a description is probably too general of a description, too many of the same kind, I would imagine.
Okay. Now, 10 to 12 vehicles. That's a lot. But you know what? Also, that if they can't come into an agreement or into some type of footage of these 10 to 12 vehicles, I don't understand why they would have just put a vehicle, put a clip up there of her going into the park, and then sometimes the public will say, wait a minute, that's so-and-so's car, without saying, hey, this is a possible vehicle to the person who kidnapped Dulce. No, if you throw a video up there, you don't say nothing. The people watching can say, wait a minute, that's so-and-so's car, Pedro's car, or that's whoever's car. I thought they said that they didn't go to the park that day. Sometimes without seeing nothing, just what we see at the store, we can't really help too much without anything but a store video. That's all we have is a store video. So we don't have nothing of her going into the park or nothing. So it says it's not possible to get out of the park without being picked up on a nearby camera, he noted. We believe that in all likelihood we do have a suspect on video someplace. So they're still narrowing down those 10 to 12 cars. So to whoever took her, be ready, because they're coming for you, because they only have 10 to 12 cars left. And I believe that after all those cars that they did from the
10
park,
to 12.
they're narrowing it down now to 10 to 12 cars. That means that it's getting closer, because there is video. There's just no video. There's no camera systems in the park, which that sucks. And by now, The whole world already knows that. So when you go to the park, to that specific area, since people don't already mention about this camera system so many times, make sure that you keep your kids close at all times, and don't take, because you think that Dulce's mom was involved in this kidnapping, don't let that allow you to put your guards down and you let your kids roam freely, because then your kid could be next. Because remember, this person thinks they got away with it. So we're not going to let them think that they got away with it.
Well, me personally, I don't think that this person has gotten away with it. I truly believe that these authorities are actually close on finding out who this person is who has abducted little Dulce. And it may be not just Dulce, it may be some other children involved, and this person may have been getting away with it for quite some time, because as far as this article is saying, it was a convenience thing. You know what I'm saying? They caught Miss Naoma off guard. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't on her P's and Q's. Nope. And this person, you know what I'm saying, seeing this opportunity and seized it. You know what I'm saying? So this may be a person who is probably experienced at this type of thing. So I'm sorry for interrupting you, Queen.
Oh no, that's fine.
Go on and continue with your thing.
Yeah, Danielle. Yeah, they do have. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that they have cameras in the high school. Only because of that West school. They have cameras over there in the high school. No, the school. No schools were actually closed on the 16th. I'm not even quite sure how it even got that far to where it was closed. No, even the school calendar tells you that there was school that day. That's just people saying that because of the timeline, which is very possible that she could have went home, got those kids dressed really fast, and she could have been out the door in 15 minutes. If she's anything like me, I'm a drill sergeant. If I tell you we have something to do when you come home from school, you are to do exactly that. I don't allow them to get distracted. And at that age, I used to set out their clothes for them. So, you know, when they used to come home from school, I didn't allow their school clothes to be going outside and play. So maybe the clothes was already set out per the grandma. Because remember, Noema didn't have custody of Dulce. So what the grandma does in reference to on how when the kids get home, especially a uniform, why would you send out a 5-year-old to the park with a uniform? You're not going to. Do you know how fast a 5-year-old can strip down really fast? I mean, they can get dressed really fast, especially if they know that they're going to have a long and exciting day. Yeah, it was open, Kelly. I actually have a calendar. I remember in the very beginning, I actually screenshotted the calendar of the school, the 2019 to 2020 calendar. If you want it, I can send it to you, Kelly. Now it says, why was Dulce taken? A motive in the case is unclear, Gaviran said. He stressed that Dulce's family members remain cooperative, but declined to say anyone has been ruled out as a suspect. So just because they're being cooperative and they're saying that it was a crime of opportunity doesn't mean that they've been ruled out yet as a suspect. Because
so in other words, Naoma, grandma,
anyone who was investigated,
everybody who's been interviewed as far as this case, they're still a suspect, and so is that family. So those of you, and you know who you are, who has been interviewed by the FBI as far as this case,
you're not off the hook yet.
Yeah, if you have something to do with this, you're not off the hook yet, my friend.
Now it says, sometimes the family becomes a point of focus, but throughout the investigation to date, they continue to be cooperative and engaged, and it's important that the community knows that. Did you hear that? It says, sometimes the family becomes a point of focus, But throughout the investigation to date, they continue to be cooperative and engaged, and it's important that the community knows that. So with all of this,
in other words, it's important to realize that this mother may have been set up. Okay, they see her as being not so bright. You know what I'm saying? They see her not being the brightest tool in the tool shed. You know what I'm saying? They may look at her like she may be a beard short of a six-pack, but you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that she's guilty of anything. It just could be that she's being set up. Take it away, Queen.
And let me tell you something. A disability that somebody has does not define parenting. You can be truly disabled and you could still be a parent. There's deaf people out there. There's blind people out there. There's people who own no limbs, but they could still bear children, and they still bear children. Those type of people do not make it any different than the disability that Noema has, and however many children that she's bared. So, just wanted to put that out there.
All right, and she done put it out there.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too, Kelly. But in the beginning, they did state, even on the Amber Alert, it did state that the Hispanic man was seen walking out of the park with a little girl and a little boy. And I thought that too. Maybe he tried to take both of them, but like Manny kind of like resisted.
So in other words, you're saying that they might have tried to take both of them and Manny got away?
Yeah, that's what Kelly was just saying. All right. So it says, disability. I mean, you can't see it. I mean, she's known to have a disability. So we're gonna leave that to the doctors.
Yeah, well, there is a known fact that she has a learning.
I think it was already stated. Even Dr. Phil stated that she has some type of
learning disability. She did.
Yeah, you can clearly tell. And then, you know, just street smart doesn't have anything to do with school smart. Those are two different types of smart. If you put her in front of another board, it's going to be a whole total different type of knowledge compared to whatever other knowledge she gained when she was doing whatever she was doing.
That's, you know,
but that's irrelevant.
My point is that whoever the person is who abducted little Dulce Maria,
he has
Alavez,
a disability.
he took advantage of the fact that, you know, Miss Naoma had a learning disability, or, you know, was not all, you know, she's just not the brightest thing out there. And you know, for all we know, this person may have known Naoma
from the parks, from the frequent park visits, because they've always been at the park. And you guys got to remember that children establish relationships with people that you are unaware of, and that's why you need to remember that too. Because if she sat a couple times in her car throughout the times that she was going to the park, you don't know how many times that same person to have taken her that day took her. Because yeah, well, I mean, per the article, I mean, the FBI guy was the one who wrote this article. And and you're right, at this time, somebody, maybe she does know something at this point, but we'll never know. It says, in an interview with New Jersey Advanced Media last September, Alavez Perez said Dulce's father, who now lives in Mexico, expressed an interest in seeking custody of the child when she was 1 or 2 years old, but never followed through on it. Investigators have found no evidence of a custody dispute between Dulce's parents, Gabriel said. The father has been interviewed by investigators and has also been cooperative, he said. So it tells you there is they have found no evidence of a custody dispute. No evidence of a custody
And
dispute.
that goes to show that investigators are in contact
With
with
him.
this father.
Yeah, so that can exclude maybe the article that was given out, when was that, last month, where the grandma was saying that she wished they would look into him more to see if he has her. But it says right here that investigators have found no evidence of a custody dispute between Dulce's parents, Gabriel said. The father has been interviewed by investigators and has also been cooperative, he said. It says investigators can usually track efforts by family to take a child out of the country, including through searches of phone records leading up to a disappearance, Gabriel said. When we have kids that are taken by a family member out of the country, we generally have a pretty strong indication that that occurred, he said. Think about it. If a family member was going to plan this and take Dulce, it's super high risk because it's in a public park where there could be potentially a lot of witnesses. So they said, think about it. If a family member, that's what he said, think about it. If a family member was going to plan this and take Dulce, it's a super high risk because it's in a public park where there could be potentially a lot of witnesses.
So in other words, he's saying that if it was somebody in the family, he would have to be, or she would have to be, a straight idiot to do it in a public place like this, where there would be so many witnesses that could potentially point them out. Right? Is that what you're getting from
Yep.
from that? But yeah,
Nobody's downplaying no type of ages. I'm the one who can't say nothing about having early children. I have someone who's had bear children at the age that Noema has bear children, so I can't sit here and point fingers on that. But what I was saying and what I was getting to was about her disability, because if she does genuinely have a disability and it takes her some time to come back to this planet, then who are we to keep saying, then why is she bearing all of these children? So then that's why I go on to say that even the blind, the deaf, you know, anybody who has a disability can become a parent. It makes her no different to become a parent. Yeah,
and that's neither here
she
nor
made
there.
it to the park. She made it to the park because in this per this article that was just released out from the FBI, it stated in the beginning. Now it says, what about those Ohio letters? What about those Ohio letters? What a big old blow smoke out on those Ohio
What
letters.
about those Ohio letters?
For real. Like,
I-
what was really the point? And see, then that's what honestly genuinely pisses somebody off, because let's just say if those letters didn't come from the abductor, then whoever did that was lame. That was like the lamest thing that anybody could have done.
Personally, I think that them letters are all smoke screens. They're just a distraction. You know what I'm saying? Distracting us from whatever the real deal is.
And whoever did it must seem to know other things, because I'd hope they just get, I don't know how those letters, you didn't get a print off of them. That means that they were even wearing gloves when they was writing out those letters.
Oh, I'm sure that whoever is responsible for them letters will be held accountable. I believe that in my heart. The way the law works, they're not going to let whoever's responsible for these letters to just get away with hindering an investigation in that manner.
Yeah, because that's not even funny. That's not even at all. I don't know who took the time out of their life to do 4 letters and then the time that it took to write the letters. So, because they gave a lengthy letter to the custard place, and it had to do with Dulce, and then the other ones were index cards, and then the other one was, but still, even the amount of writing that was done, that didn't take a day or two. And even in the day, this person must have been doing it for what, like a good 72 hours straight, writing these Ohio letters. And did you even think that when you was writing out these Ohio letters, did you even possibly have thought that you could have been distracting your own case if this was your grandchild, or if this was your daughter, or if this was your niece, or if this was your goddaughter, or if this was your sister, or if this was anything to relation to your family? Do you think that the person would be appreciative that while a child is missing, we're going to go run some jokes and send some letters out from Ohio and make everybody run around like a chicken with his head cut off?
Right, and to clarify, I mean, what she's saying is, in case this is a prank, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying, this person, you know, ought to think of their own situation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they're, whether they're a father or a mother or so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? We're not pointing fingers at nobody. We're just saying, you know, if it is a prank or somebody playing games, that's just totally not cool.
That's disrespectful. And just like Kelly said, yes, one of the letters that of that 76 truck stop is kind of weird because it does lead to where the area over there where little Billy disappeared 55 years ago. So it just doesn't make any sense because...
Right, it kind of makes you think that if it is not a prank and this person has something to do with
other disappearances.
Exactly, other disappearances, not just Dulce's, but other disappearances. Then, you know, we got some sort of a serial type of thing going on here. Mm-hmm. And it definitely could get way deeper than deep.
Now it says, investigators have chased thousands of tips, including the discovery of several letters received in Ohio earlier this year referencing Dulce. One suggested searching a wooded area near a truck stop. A search turned up nothing. A similar mailing, postmarked from Ohio, was received in New Jersey by Jackie Rodriguez, who had been acting as a spokeswoman for Dulce's family. It contained no direct reference to Dulce. Yeah, it was just a bunch of, it was more like notes, like note taking. Like if they were sitting, if I was to take Jackie's letters and say something about them, it would be more like if the person didn't plan to take on Dulce, but maybe it just wrote notes down, you know. The parents don't speak English, or, you know, like the grandparents don't speak English, or, you know, things like that were written on the note.
And the notes, they're really strange because they went from the very beginning. Supposedly there was a so-called ransom note, which come to find out it wasn't even really a ransom note. It was a post that was posted in one of the groups. Then I myself received Facebook messages that were crazy to read. If you go back to my past videos, you will see where I posted those videos with those cryptic messages that I was receiving.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't know what to think of it. You know, it just seemed like a bunch of gibberish, you know, and, you know, we have people that get online and they just like to troll. So I just let that roll off my shoulder as if it was just that, a troll. But then, you know, we have these notes popping up, and we have Miss Jackie receiving her note, and also she was receiving cryptic messages as well. But then again, you know, and
that's another thing I don't understand.
Things go on that make you think, you know, like,
why would they have sent her one
and not
the family? Because that's another thing that dawns me. Why would they have sent one to her and not to the family? Because, not saying it for anything, but yeah, she was the the head spokesperson, or whatever at the time was that she was doing. But at that time, I still don't understand how she would have received the ransom note. I mean, one of those encrypted notes. I honestly don't even think how the person who wrote those letters to Ohio can totally skip the family and send it to someone that at that time they weren't even talking. So it was kind of like you knew you was gonna send a letter over there. Why would you have sent a letter to someone that was not even the family? That should have been sent, if anything, if it was real, it should have been sent to the family, because we're playing too many games by sending it to irrelevant people. Anyway, it says a considerable amount of time has been spent on those letters and none of the information in there has been corroborated. Adding that the investigation of the letters are ongoing and that they likely originated from the same sender.
In other words, from what I'm getting from this article, what they're saying is a considerable amount of time was spent on those letters and none of the information in there was collaborated.
No direct reference.
So, in other words, from what I'm getting is that it was a total waste of time to even dwell on those encrypted notes. Take it away, Queen.
It says Dulce's case has drawn widespread interest and questions have been raised over a possible connection with the discovery of a child's remains in the park in Smyrna, Delaware. I might be even saying that city wrong. More than an hour from Bridgeton, a few days before Dulce vanished, but Gamera said nothing points to a link between the two cases. Now, we all seen where that child was found in Delaware at a baseball field, like at a dugout. She was between the ages from 2 to 5, and then she has some type of medical condition. And it's crazy because to this day, no one in Delaware has reported their child missing. So is that child even from Delaware? I ran across an article earlier that there is looking for these missing kids since 2018, and for some reason that little girl does resemble her, but I'm not no detective, so I have somebody else looking at that. But and we all thought that she was Dulce, but the time, I think she was found on September 13th, I think it was. Yeah, maybe somebody was going through some type of psychosis. Well, when you do it, when you're thinking about taking a child, you already gone through something psychosis you already gone through something psychosis when you wake up in the morning and the first thing on your mind is doing a harm to a little child. The first thing, so that already right there is psychotic within itself. And
it is kind of weird how these cryptid notes kind of resemble the little Billy case. Mm-hmm. The 76 and the truck stop, just
which is right there.
Clues.
The custard place for Dulce. And then the library, because you know what? If you look at Mark Heimblog, I might be saying his last name wrong, from Cape May.
Yeah, he lives.
Guess what? He lives literally 2 minutes or so from a park. So it's just strange.
And close to a library, from what I understand.
Yeah, and from a library. A park and a library. Yep.
Things that make you go, It's crazy.
Diana Alavez. I didn't hear about Diana Alavez. Is this in Bridgeton, Danielle? Because I didn't hear anything about that yet. It says the girl was between 2 and 5 years old, suffered from a chronic illness, was Caucasian or Hispanic. and had been dead for several weeks or possibly longer, according to the statement from the police from Delaware. So they're currently we are working with the Delaware Police Department. He said whether the cases are related or not, which there is no indication to say they are. Certainly, that case is concerning because it was a little girl whose body was found and yet has not been done. It hasn't been identified yet. So, alright. So for 11 months, nobody said, "Hey, my daughter's been missing."
That's pretty crazy, right?
The biblical betrayal that you're not. It says you may know who took her. Someone knows who took Dulce, though they might not realize it, the agent said. So here we go. You might know who took her. You might be sleeping with him. You might be holding hands. You might be it might be your cousin, your uncle, your grandfather, your brother. It could be anybody in Bristol, and they're possibly still in Bristol. Because at 11 months, you would think somebody would get some kind of hype and say, you know what, they're never going to find me because look at all of this that's going on.
Yeah, remember that case with I forget where it was, but dude had them girls in his basement.
Oh, you talking about Ariel Castro?
Yeah,
in his house.
Yeah.
Where it was padded and everything. I mean, these women, those girls even bear children from him without no medical attention. And you talk about close neighbors, and they still didn't even know that he was in there sexually molesting all them little girls and bearing children with them. And those were really close. Matter of fact, the neighbors were so upset at that they actually burned the house is not there no longer. They didn't even want to see the side of the house. It said he asked members of the public to consider people they know who changed their behavior or habits around the time Dulce disappeared. Thank you, Kelly, for that. I'm going to look into that.
Real quick, Queen. Ms. Elena says, didn't those letters come from a psychic? Did they come from a psychic?
Well, her what?
From
allegedly from what we was told that they came from a psychic, but how and why would a psychic want to send those letters to 4 different locations that had nothing? If anything, they were going to send those letters to the Bristol Police Department. That's where they should have sent the letters to Ohio, which makes no sense unless Dulce is in Ohio. But then that's another thing. Maybe the person, they thought that the cops was getting close and said, let me throw this blow smoke out here because since the family came from Ohio, let's just make it look like the family did it again. And we're just going to distract ourselves from the real reason of those letters. I just think that if there is something with those letters, I think that they should look at least into the one that makes more sense than the other ones is the one that talks about the 76 truck stop.
Hey, Danielle F. When I open the phone lines, call in because I have no clue what you're talking about. You asked about the biblical betrayal. Then you said not in Bristol, and then you're saying, did anything come true? I have no clue what you're talking about. So here in a few minutes when I open up the phone lines, call it in.
Yeah, those letters should have definitely went to people. And I'm not saying anything because I really don't want somebody to misconstrue what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it should have just went to people that they knew something was going to be done about it. Sending these letters to 4 different places that had nothing to do with what was going on and then make it as a Dulce distraction. They should have been sent at least to like the mayor or the prosecutor, because if you really want to find if you really want to throw some cryptic letters, why would you even send something to someone who was irrelevant to anything that was going on? It doesn't make any sense in how they send the letters the way that they sent the letters. It says He asked members of the public to consider people they know who changed their behavior or habits around the time Dulce disappeared. Let me tell you something. Yes, they did change their behavior. If they didn't change their behavior, guess what? That's something else that you should look into, because you want to know why? That means that they've probably done it before, so they're comfortable in knowing that they're not going to get caught. So if this was somebody who just went over there and did something at the heat of the moment and they didn't know what they was going, let's just say that this was a rookie kidnapping and they didn't know what they was doing, that person is going to feel edgy the whole entire time. Or women, did this person come back to you at nighttime and gave you even aggressive, different sex? Because if you watch some movies too, and that's another thing, if we're talking about a man and then a woman, if you watch movies too, sometimes men feed and they get this energy from certain things, and they get like this high, because if you watch these movies and 48, the cold case files, all of these stuff that my husband be having me watching here, so you know, sometimes they show different types of behavior. He could have went home and honey, he could have flipped your whole life upside down in the bedroom, and you're like, whoa, where did he get all of this from? Because maybe his adrenaline was still pumping, and he figures the only way to bring himself down is to actually kill it out of his body, and that can also have been laying in bed with you. So think about that too, because it can happen. It can happen. I've seen a lot of things like that on TV, and you know, a bunch of crazy stuff be going on. Anyway, the abductor would have had missed work or family get-togethers around that time, or may have suddenly left town without warning. Gabarant said he may have changed the color of his car or made a significant change to his appearance. Now, he could have changed his car color. If he didn't change it immediately, signs are if he changed it that week, because you know he's not going to go the next day and randomly out of the blue say, hey, I want to go change my car color. You know, if he doesn't want to get caught, he's going to plan all his tracks to make sure that nobody, you know, looks at him suspiciously. But at this time, unless this said person changed their color to their car at home, I'm pretty sure that they can go to like Mako and places like that and pull up reports of people, because you keep records like that when people go to paint their cars on like Mako and stuff like that. Sure, with the VIN number.
Sure,
it's just like a tune-up.
If they went to a place like Mako,
unless they did it at home, then there's no trace that the car was ever gotten painted or made a change to his appearance. Let's just say that back in 2018, he used to, you know, your boyfriend or your brother or whoever, the male person in your life, maybe didn't have a beard back in 2018, but then he decided to grow a beard between 2018 to 2020. I mean, till 2019, but here it comes. He goes and he wants to shave his beard off. Yeah, they might have not had known that they were talking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, I don't know why, but these groups don't get checked out as much. And that's another thing, that abductors are known to want to know everything about what's going on. They want to be in the loop about everything. So they're probably even in this group. If they knew that Jackie was a spokesperson and they knew that, you know, at that time that they weren't talking or whatever, I have no idea why. I just know that,
you know, Danielle makes a good point. I'm not sure if Danielle's a male or female, but they said that they may have significantly altered Dulce's appearance. She may not even look like a little girl anymore, and she may look like a little boy now, for all we know.
Yeah, because they're not going to keep her looking the same. And that's another thing too, that if you wanted to take this child from Brishan out when it was school time, I always say look at the school uniforms too, because maybe this person was trying to also blend Dulce into, let's just say the next day was Tuesday. There's school. There was school. And if he was trying to take her out somewhere, a lot of states and the cities in there, they use the uniform thing. Did you see somebody walking around with a child with a uniform that looked like maybe he was dragging the child along, and you thought, oh, that baby don't want to go to school today? But in all honesty, you know, it could have been Dulce wearing that uniform. And this is just in Bristol. If they still kept her in Bristol within the first whatever, pretty sure not. Then it says the suspect.
I doubt that she's in Bristol. She's far from Bristol. But go ahead, Queen.
It says the suspect may be a regular visitor to the parks and behave awkwardly around children, he added. He might be a regular visitor to the park, and now he probably hasn't even been there. And then I go back again to the sketch that was released. There's no way that if that sketch, nobody even knows anything that looks strikingly close to that sketch. Yeah. And then, like, where's the parents at to those two children that were at the park? You would know if your two kids were at the park that day. You would know. You would know, because you know why? If they were around the age, if you was in a relationship with somebody, you would let that person know, hey, I'm gonna go pick up the kids today from school and I'm gonna go take them to the park, or hey, I'm gonna go to the park with the kids, because around that time somebody would have been either coming out of work or going into work, you know, like first shift or second shift, and you would still like to know where your child is at. I know that there was a mom in Bristol that knows that her two kids were there that day, but she just doesn't want to say nothing, because as a mom, that mom is the one that needs to speak up and say, you know what, I'm tired of because you know what, it could have been your two kids and you're just lucky that it wasn't. You're lucky that he didn't even take it that far, because if he didn't get to get anything that day, one of your kids would have been it, because apparently that was what was on his mind. That mom has a whole lot of information. You know, if your kids were at the park, you would know that your children was at the park that day. Oh yeah, anybody could see it. Yeah, it could be a teacher if they have that's a pretty lengthy distance though, from the high school to the park, unless they have maybe some type of binoculars, or because the high school is, I mean, even though the high school is there, it's not like you could look out the window and make out what's playing in the park. You can see things moving out there in the park, but you really can't make out if it's a boy or a girl, you know, unless you have some Spider-Man vision.
That's the thing in this case, that anything is possible, and it could have been anybody. It could have been a teacher
coming out.
It could have been
a city worker,
a janitor, a city worker. Could have been a coach of some sort. I mean, the possibilities are endless, for real.
It says, I honestly think there are people out there that know who the offender is, interact with the offender, and might even describe them as socially awkward or odd, but may be afraid to say anything because they think, oh, this person will never take a child. If they're socially awkward or odd, and those are signs that if they even became more awkward the next day, you know, us moms would know when there's something wrong, because how about if that guy that was at the park and told her about the dog being there was the one that took Dulce, because he felt that the dog was more intimidating and didn't let him you know, be as free and willing to do whatever he wanted. Let's just say if he went and he snatched up any kid, he probably would have thought that that dog, you know, would have done something to him, it being that it was from you know, one of those type of breeds. Yeah, on Castro, yeah. and that goes against the biblical too. Like, you know, you can't. There's so many women out there, and you could probably find one that's just about as crazy as you. If you have a fetish, do the fetish within yourself. You know what I mean? There's so many women that's out there. Like, what can possibly a 5-year-old had given you that you couldn't have gotten it from a grown woman? You know?
Pretty much.
For real, like, what is that?
I mean, that's pretty sick to have a fetish to, you know, like that, to want to lay up with a child.
That you can't even see the kid.
Nowadays, I mean, all it takes is go get you a job, make good money, and there's whores, excuse my language, but there's prostitutes
plenty in Atlantic City
that will make all your fantasies come true. You know, all you gotta do is just hit them off with a couple of dollars. There's no need to go find a little child and take out your fetishes like that. There's just no excuse for that. Take it away, Queen.
It says investigators believe the abductor likely acted alone and for a self-serving purpose. He said likely acted alone because even though she stated in that 911 call that there was a black man and a Hispanic man, I'm still going to lean on to those two males being at the park just because in that first call, that's what they stated. So whether or not they acted alone, we don't hear nothing about this. We don't hear nothing about the black guy that they seen walking behind the buildings. We hear a lot about the Hispanic man, but we hear nothing about the black guy. Now, if we have a sketch for the Hispanic one, how come we don't have a sketch for the other one? That's a whole other thing too, because both of them, both of them were already, and it's in the 911 call. Even the chief said that the reason why she has all of these stories like that are different is because she was gathering information from everybody that was telling her things at the park. But that there is a black male and a Hispanic male.
Absolutely 100% correct. We hear about this Hispanic person with bumps in his chin. The only discrepancy is that on one description he had facial hair, and on another one he didn't.
He was clean shaven.
But we hear an awful lot about this Hispanic male, but we hear nothing about
the other gentleman.
So that leads me to believe that there is no other person, as of right now.
Or they got ruled out.
Right, or they got ruled out. Or if there is another person, then they really don't have much information on this other person.
Yeah, Danielle, I know that video was disturbing with the higher ups, but guess what? It's happening. Okay? It's happening. These kids that are disappearing, it's happening. You know why? And to be aware is to be alive. So if we're not seeing it up front and central when it comes out in the news, and we're not educating ourselves as parents, okay, we're gonna send our kids out there blindly, especially in 2020. I've had enough surprises for 2020 as is, that I don't need to be getting any more surprises than what we're already getting on anything. So you have to educate yourself, and you also have to educate your children, because once they go back to school, it's a whole different story when your children go back to school. So a lot of people don't like to see videos like that, but guess what? We don't like to even know that that's happening to children. So it shouldn't be happening, period, to children. It says really young kids.
Hold on, real quick. And Danielle, that as far as that kind of stuff is really going on in this world right now. I mean, I believe that right now as we speak, there's people going down. A lot of your heroes, a lot of the people that you love, that including myself, not just saying you, And a lot of our heroes are going to be exposed soon, and you're going to see a lot of stuff going on that you're going to be like, wow, for real? Because it's serious. I have another documentary that I'm going to share with my viewers, and it's really going to make you think. Go ahead, Queen.
It says, really young kids, even infants, may be taken by someone looking to replace a child who was somehow lost, Gavarant said. While a sexual motive is often a factor in cases involving abducted teens. Now, what it's saying is that at her age or younger, the probability of you being taken is because someone couldn't bear a child, or someone lost a child and they just did that, to raise a child. But then in other cases, when it involves abducted teens, is usually a sexual motive. Now, it says, our younger kids, it's less clear, he said. The age that Dulce is, the age that Dulce was, it's less clear why the offender would have taken her. What need were they fulfilling by taking her? We're not sure. What need were you fulfilling yourself when you took her at the age of 5? So they're asking you, what need were you fulfilling yourself at the age of 5? Investigators are still looking for people who may have seen something suspicious. The park is adjacent to 2 schools, and kids often cut through the area on the way to and from classes, meaning a student may have information without realizing it. And there we go. A student could have walked by and seen this person.
Been a female.
Shoot, one of them crazy women too. They get that, their adrenaline get running. They get that high. Especially if a person was raised to be abused, and there were like sometimes those type of people.
Not only that, it could have been a woman who wanted another child, or can't have children, and wanted a child, and perfect opportunity, like you said, the perfect child. Boom, there she was.
Yep, just sitting there playing all by her lonesome self. But either way, even a woman too, she might have wanted to bear children, or she might have went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and ended up wanting to be the abuser, and it happens. So a lot of things happen. Maybe she wanted to be a mom, maybe she wanted to see somebody else inflict pain on a child, because maybe it took her back to her younger years. We don't know what the hell is the matter with some of these people. It says, what we know for sure is that the person that took Dulce Alavez was in that park in Brigham from at least 4 o'clock to 4:30. We really believe that there are people out there that saw something that would be critical for us. So between 4 to 4:30. Now he's saying it. She wasn't even there at 4 o'clock. So she was at the store. So they're trying to bring it back a little bit before then. Did anybody see anything within 4 to 4:30?
Right. It seems like this timeline is a little fluky, right?
Yeah. It says witnesses may not step forward because they don't believe they have information of value, or because they are afraid, he said. Officials have repeatedly assured undocumented immigrants living in the area that no one investigating Dulce's disappearance is interested in checking their immigration status. So, and let's think about it, because I see that where it says that they're not even interested in their immigration status. But what about the person? Because a person can sit here and say, well, I know this information, but I'm not going to give it because they're going to deport me. But then guess what? If you're drinking and you're intoxicated and you get behind that wheel, guess what? You already broke. You already broke a law. What is it? You already broke a law. So anyway, think about that. And guess what? And if you're here already undocumented, you done already broke a law. So why not save the next child?
Right. So in other words, you're saying that, if you're an illegal immigrant and you have all this information, you already have broken the law, so why hold on to this information and not save the next child? But from my understanding, the Cumberland County area, or Bristol specifically, is a sanctuary city where these people can't be touched as far as their immigration status. So if they are an illegal immigrant and they holding on to information, they have no worries for real. So if they got kids themselves, they need to just come up off with the information, because ain't nothing really gonna happen to them. Bristol is a sanctuary city, and you're gonna be good. Usted va a estar bien si dice la información, porque la ciudad de Bristol es una ciudad que no molestan a la gente que son ilegal. So, si usted tiene información de esta niña, lo mejor que hace es decir, hablar, porque puede salvar a esta niña y también salvar a otros niños también. Con eso dejo mi esposa.
It says, and that's true. I mean, a lot of us sit here and you will know information because somebody knows something. There's no way that this person is sleeping in your house and you didn't notice anything weird about him that day. He didn't come home and didn't scrub himself off really hard. He didn't come home with maybe Dulce, maybe they weren't always in a car. Maybe they got out and did the woods or something like that, and she hurt herself. Maybe he had a little bit of blood on his shirt. Maybe he just was off and profusely sweating, because sometimes, at the height of the moment, people could profusely sweat. And there's a lot of signs that were out there that, as a woman, we disregarded it. But it's there.
You know what truly bothered me about this case was when the psychic whisperer, what was her name? The lady?
The sleuth, or
no, not the sleuth lady. The one that the family. Marcy, yeah, Marcy, the psychic, the spirit whisperer, or the psychic medium, whatever she calls herself. Okay, when she came out with her video, that video was very graphic. When I sat down and watched that video, I literally nearby got sick to my stomach listening to this lady describe how, or what little Dulce's fate was. And it was disturbing to me. And it makes me think, why was it that this family listened to this lady out of all the spirit whisperers out there? We got the spirit whisperer that claims that little Dulce is far to the north of the Cohansey River, whatever. The one that speaks to the spirits and records them. Why wasn't he listened to? Why wasn't the sleuth lady listened to? Why wasn't all these other spirit whisperers listened to, but this one lady that was so graphic with her details, why was she listened to? That just makes me, it bothered me from the beginning, and it still has me thinking. Go ahead, Queen, take it away.
Yeah, and that is true with Marcy. She was so far away in there, and I know that the sleuth lady, she also mentioned and she submitted some of her findings to the Bristol police. Now, I'm not sure if they went on ahead and they listened to her as well, but why listen to someone that was so far away when you have a local that's actually telling you things? But it says how to help find Dulce, and then this is like the last bit of this article. It says Dulce turned 6 years old in April, and her case will likely receive renewed public attention on the 1-year anniversary of her disappearance. The search remains active locally, nationally, and internationally, Gabaran said. I think a lot of times when cases stretch out for long periods of time, the community may think that it's not still being worked, and it is. He said it's actually a very active investigation. It says authorities ask anyone with information about Dulce to call the New Jersey State Police at 609-882-2000, extension 2554, or Beauchamp Police at 856-451-0033. Tips may also be phoned into 1-800-CALL-FBI and select option 4, then select option 8. Anonymous tips may be sent by text to tip 411 with Beauchamp in the message line. So
y'all see it. This case is actively being investigated. They're actively investigating this case. So for us out here who may think that the authorities aren't doing what they're supposed to, as far as this article says, they're in it. They're investigating this case, and they ask for any of us out here in the community who may have any information to call the New Jersey State Police. And that number is 609-882-2000, extension 2554. Or you could contact the Beauchamp Police Department at 856-451-0033. You could also send in tips by phone by dialing the 1-800-CALL-FBI and select the option 4, then select option 8. And you can leave anonymous tips. Like the wife said, I mean, I could be laying next to her myself, or you could be laying next to him yourself. So, you know what I mean, look out for, anything that may be different. You know what I'm saying?
anything.
Anything, I mean.
Anything. And us women have that good women intuition. Let me tell you, nothing passes by a woman. Let me tell you, that case of the cult mom case, that those children went missing right after Dulce, with no whereabouts whatsoever. Like, nobody knew that these children, they were already possibly dead since they disappeared. They were probably already dead. But listen, nobody knew that those children disappeared until their grandma noticed that in November she hasn't had, the opportunity to visit her grandson. So she was a little bit concerned that every time she called, that the stepmom would say that he was in Arizona somewhere visiting a friend. But then she became a little bit too alarmed because she noticed that it was too lengthy of a time and he still hasn't gotten in contact with her. But anyway, the cops end up going over there in a health check. They talk to the parents. They don't sit on what the parents told them. So when they went back to the station, they had to do all the process, to get a warrant and everything else like that. But let me tell you, when those cops went over there the next day, that apartment was liquidated. I don't even understand how they didn't even remain a post outside to see if they would have done what they did. But all of them being at the police station and nobody actually sticking out the house gave these people the opportunity to pack up and leave. Yeah, and you're right. But anyway, these children, when it came out and this mother had went to Hawaii, there was nothing to go on because in November these kids were already disappeared since September. But what happened was that the sleuth group took over on this case, right? And they went and they started reaching out, and they actually reached out, and somebody in their group or something like that knew somebody that had video of these children at a park, I think it was Yellowstone National Park. It was one of those huge national parks. But anyway, they seen them there. Now they never seen them leave the park. That's fine. But they never seen them leave the park. So they thought, maybe they put the kids in some type of hot spring and, they melted because some of them had, type of acid, but then you would have to figure out which one of them can properly dissolve a child. This is conversations that were going on in that group. But anyway, with the cops obtaining that video of those children seen at the park that day through a citizen's phone, okay, it ended tragically. Unfortunately, they went up they killed the husband. He killed his wife. Then they killed the brother. I mean, they killed the kids and then they killed the brother. So unfortunately, a lot of people died on the way. But anyway, the whole point is that sleuths helped out on that case a lot. So that's another thing that people should look into. And even though that these people knew that the parents were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because of the coming of whatever in July 2020, that didn't stop this sleuth group from still finding out information. They still went out there, regardless of the fact that they knew that the mom knew exactly where they were at. Like, people were saying that all she knows where her kid is at, but it didn't stop these people from still searching to see what happened to those children. And look, and it's the same thing with Noema. A lot of us don't know if she did it or not, but guess what? Everybody wants her to talk. Talk about what? Obviously, she's not talking. So this is the reason why they're reaching out to the public, because somebody out there in that park seen something. Somebody out there seen something. Yeah, you had to be really close to the person to see like acne scars. And like I said, that person could have asked for a lighter. That person could have asked, you know how many times I've been somewhere and someone says, hey, can I use your phone to do a quick phone call because, I have, my phone died, or yeah, it had to be that close for you to see acne, because from a distance, once you start backing up away from somebody's from being close to somebody, you can't see if they have acne or if they have facial hair or even if they smelled like anything, but somebody does have information. And in the beginning I was talking about Marcy, but the psychic sleuth lady too, she has a lot of good things that you can go on there and look into, and a lot of it points out to not being there at the park but in a surrounding area around the park, because I'm not even sure why a lot of people have been pressed lately on East Lake, but because the other day somebody had inboxed me and asked me, did they ever check out East Lake? And I've always wanted to know that too. Did they ever check out East Lake? But guess what? When they took her, they probably didn't think it was going to be much of a difference, because one, she was already Mexican. And with everything that's going on, they would probably have thought, oh, they're not going to be too much of interest of her because she's a Mexican. But I don't think that at the first week or so that they were searching around there and they was real heavily searching, I don't think if they was to ever place her anywhere, they would have placed her around the area. But how many times haven't somebody went out there and searched in one area and then 4, 5, 6 months down the line, they find the body there in an area that they searched already, and it's normally close to home, especially if it's somebody that was from the area and they never went out of Britain. The possibilities of her being still in Britain, it's about 50-50. 50% her being in Britain, and then the other 50% she's not there, only because of how long of a gap it was.
I happen to disagree with you. I believe that the chances of her being in the Britain area are slim to none.
Yeah, it could be true. But in some of these abduction cases, where do these people end up? They're always found close to home. Is that not right?
Yeah, but usually not alive. and as of right now, everything is leading to an alive little girl as far as law enforcement is concerned.
Yes, because they're working under the premise because they haven't found anything yet on her disappearance. Norm Mary Elmer. I heard about that too. The Mary Elmer that was right there as well. And I've even heard about this crazy house that was up there that had burned down. Not burned down, but it had caught on fire. I believe it belonged to like a doctor or a dentist before. And there's actually a video of it on YouTube, but the video is marked like a couple years back. But anyway, somebody was in there searching. You know, they were just being nosy. They weren't searching for Dulce because obviously this happened years ago. But they, in that house, they did go down to the basement and they did find like other secluded areas. And I did comment on that YouTube and was asking for the address, but they said it was located near Mary Lake. But unfortunately, I don't know where that's at. And if it's one of those abandoned houses that are around the park, and per the law enforcement, they checked every abandoned place that was near or around the park, so maybe that house was already checked. Yeah, because when they got her, it was what, 5 o'clock traffic. Whichever way that car went, it was going to be stuck behind traffic. Whether it took the back road, you know, to get out of Brishan, whether it took any other exits, even coming out through the back, through, what is that, Cornwell Drive or something like that, the back way, that if you keep on going, it will take you and you'll see the Walmart right in front of you. You take it's like a long street. You'll take the Walmart, and then as soon as you see the Walmart in front of you, you make that right, and then you make that left, and then you're into the Walmart parking lot. But that leads you right there also to 77. And that's a clean swipe route too to go, is through the back. Because if you just took a child, why would you go through the front? Because there's a police station up, there's the sheriff thing is up there, then they had the jail, then they had the courthouse. And this person would have automatically assumed that there was a lot of camera action going on up there in the front. And the most that they wanted to do was probably get caught on camera. So if they had a different route out, it would probably be the most secluded. It would probably be the back way.
As far as the article said, that they done gone through all the video surveillance, and there's about, what was it,
10 or 12 that have
10 or 12.
not been discluded yet.
So, the list is getting very light, so we'll see what happens.
And Elena says to watch Gone Baby, so I'm going to write this on here and I'll watch that tonight.
Well, we could do that on a live session, but it will have to be on a Zoom. Alright, so if you guys want to do that together, y'all let me know.
What are you talking about?
In the comment section, press 1. And we could set up a date where we could all do that together.
That house that I was talking about, Quest Bendy, that's, what is it, across from Mary Elmer? That doctor's, I don't know if it was a doctor or a dentist. I know that it caught on fire. And it seems to a lot of people go in there to do videos in that house. And then that's the thing too, that I'm not saying anything or anything like that because I'm not no cop or nothing like that, but you would have had thought that a child went missing, and it's possibly, like how this article says, that it was a crime of opportunity, right? So maybe if the person was already out there stalking to find a child, but you didn't gather up everything that seemed to be of value when you was doing these searches either. Because how about if that person was out there on a regular basis, walking the trails, you know?
Me personally, I think that the Briston Police Department dropped the ball from the very beginning. I think they screwed up from the beginning, and now what we have is the FBI trying to clean the situation up. That's what I think. I think that Bristol police dropped the ball, because if you go back to listen to the 911 call, I mean, you got the 911 dispatcher just assuming that is a light-skinned Hispanic little girl. I mean, she just assumed, right?
Unless there was more of that 911 call that was clipped.
Right, unless there was more to that 911 call.
But I've always thought about that. How did they know she was a light-skinned Hispanic?
Well, it seems like the dispatcher just assumed by hearing an accent on the mother, and she just assumed.
Not necessarily true, because they have darker tones than a normal. I'm considered a light-skinned Hispanic, and Dulce looks a little bit darker toned than me. She looks like she has more tone on her skin than what I do.
Right, but what I'm saying is the dispatcher just could have assumed by hearing an accent and an assumption.
Oh, hey, Anna.
Assumptions come from not knowing.
Yeah, there could have just been a lot of. Just know that article did state that it was a crime of opportunity, right? And since we really haven't had any good updates except these articles that hereby recently came out, talking a little bit more too, because it's always good to talk a little bit more about her, and it's always good to send out, even if it's the same information. Somebody's gonna get tired of seeing her name, and possibly would want to sleep at night and say, you know what, I have to tell you that I think I do know. Because how the hell can you sleep at night? I don't know. It's not even my baby, and it's not even, she's not nothing to me, and I seem to sometimes not sleep at night because you just be thinking some crazy stuff. How popular that park is. I can't explain how popular that park is. For people in Cumberland County to have visited that park when they were young, and it was like the park of opportunity. You have canoeing, you have football, you have soccer, you have what else do you have there? You have basketball, you have swimming, you got fishing, you have
baseball,
the splash pads, you got baseball,
soccer,
and you have what else is there that they do there? You even have jogging, walking, trails, lovers lane, or you have, even if you want to take a romantic walk to the trails with your significant other, there are so many things for you people to do out there. And this is even on a Sunday, you will still see people roaming that park. And the only reason why it didn't look like a kidnapping is because it looked natural.
Well, Miss Beth Jones asks, how did they get Jackie's address for them to send them encrypted notes to her?
I don't know, but I think, to my understanding, they said it was mailed to her P.O. box. It was mailed to her P.O. box. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, the extensity to even find out her P.O. box, I think it was just much. If they would have located Jackie and finding her, they would have located the parents too and had just sent, her the letter. I just don't know why that letter was sent to the places that it was sent. If it was some kind of joke, like I said, it wasn't. No one should be playing around like that at all.
Hey Danielle, call in 910-378-0859. You say you beg to differ. You think that this crime was extremely planned.
Yeah,
let's hear about it.
It says
Call
that
it
it was planned, but it wasn't planned to take Dulce. It says it right on the thing. It says it was a crime, right? They were sitting there and they just loved to watch children. They sat there, and that Dulce wasn't the prime interest when they was out there just looking at children. In general, somebody was going to get taken. Per the article, it was going to bound to happen with anybody that was in that park. With anybody in that park, somebody was going to go missing. And it just happened to be Dulce. So, you know, and with that being said, people, you ladies, I'm not saying go and look at your significant other and smack them up and do all of that stuff, but just go back to that date. It's still freshly in your mind. It's only been a year, and it's something that you won't forget, because when you look at that date, you're always going to know that a child went missing on that date, especially from your neck of the woods, because that's your neck of the woods over there, British. And for everybody to know each other, because look, when you're out there searching profiles and you're looking to see maybe who Noema knew or the family knew, even the extended people that they know other people that know them, you know, like it's all in a big circle and they all link together. So it's, you know, Britain is a real high populated area, and about 15,000 of those people, you know, are undocumented. But that still doesn't state that you can give some information. And don't even let him say that he won't do it again. Let's just say that this person has confided in you and said, I won't do it again, I promise. Or it was just this one-time thing. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them, because there's a child missing, and that's all that's important. It's a child. You know why? Because they lived their life. She didn't even, you know, they're living their best life, and she still hasn't even begun to live her best life. So look out for signs, maybe the car being changed, even a random car that he says, hey, I just sold my car. Or even dirt marks. Let's talk about that too. If your man went the next day to wash his car, or he calls you and it's like 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night, and you're calling him and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was washing the car, and he never washed the car at that time of night. You know, he could possibly have been washing away evidence. He could have went and got a whole detail in his car the next day that he just already got a detail not too long ago. And, you know, and it's not something that was normal for him to, you know, do a whole nother detail twice in a month. You know, we all know how men work when it comes down to cars and how much they spend, and the behaviors that they have, even with a school teacher, even with a coach. You know, did this person come up to you, you know, during, let's just say if it was a coach or a teacher, and they tell you, you know, when they're leaving the house or throughout the whole day, they're keeping in contact with you. No, I'm going to come home, I'll be there at this time. And then all of a sudden they tell you, well, oh, I'm stuck with a student, or hey, I'm stuck training somebody. And they, you know, they go right there to the high school. Maybe their teachers there at the high school, or their coaches there at the high school, or they do something there at the high school and they tell you, well, I'm over here at the high school, but you didn't know that there was a child missing, because unfortunately nobody heard anything until 6:30, 7 o'clock. And between that time frame already, that person could have been home showering, or like I said, cleaning out your car, detailing your car at that time,
or even on the way to California,
or even that too. And that's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Nobody can pick out a pervert looking at children. And that's another thing that I've noticed when I went to the Bircham Park a couple times. Literally the same vehicles, maybe like 2 or 3 vehicles, have been still in those parking spaces. And some of them tend to back their car in so they're able to see the park. And some of them don't even get out of the car. They just sit there. And I've even witnessed maybe like 1 or 2 of the same type vehicle actually not getting out the car. The couple times I went there, I went there and seen that they don't get out the car, or there's no other children there, or there's nobody else there to that they're waiting on. But even though if they reverse their car and they park backwards into a parking space, doesn't mean anything. But I'm just saying that if I went there a couple times and I've noticed the same vehicles there since she disappeared, where were these same vehicles at those same times when she did disappear? Like, did these vehicles just come after she disappeared, or is this something that they started doing after she disappeared, or is this a routine that some people were already doing before she did? Because like that guy with the truck, he said he used to go there for lunch, but how long is your lunch? Because he was always there parked forever.
Right.
You could be there for lunch, but what you
And you can, even if you was just there for lunch, you could have seen something, noticed something. It's like Miss Elena says, you could have been out there doing a TikTok video, and you may have something on the camera. You could have took a picture, or just been doing a regular video, and you have something on your phone that you may not even know that you have.
Even your dash cam. A lot of people drive now with dash cams on their cars.
So
with the
if
camera.
you was out at that park on that date, it's good to look at your pictures and your videos, and you know what I'm saying, just look through them and see if you notice something.
Strange. You might have caught somebody walking in the background. Somebody is always bombing somebody's pictures. You can try to take a picture. Maybe you was taking selfies, and then you noticed that this guy walked behind you 2 or 3 times, and you was wondering, what is this person doing? Trust me, that person was probably not exhibiting calm behavior. If he was there for a crime of opportunity, he was there searching. So he probably went from the park to the baseball field to the football field. He probably went around all of those fields looking to see who was the most distracted, and where was the opportunity at.
He may not even been he may not even been looking. It may have just been an opportunity that presented itself at that moment, and this person, being the sick person that he or she is, seized the opportunity.
That too. Because if you're there watching children, I don't know. But this article does state a lot, and it does have a lot of key pointers. But everybody still has to keep looking through their phones. I mean, Cumberland County, you guys had the football. There could have been football practice that day. You could have left the park at 3:30 and you weren't in there when the kidnapping happened, but maybe you took selfies from the time that you were there, or you took a video and that person came out in video. Because honestly, they just need anything to see if that person is spotted in any type of video. They tell you 3 to 6 for any video from 3 to 6. That's the videos that they're asking for, from like 3 to 6. So if you look at your camera footage from even from 3 o'clock, like I said, even if this man, I stress it too, because how about if this man was fishing? It's perfect. It's perfect even more if there was fishing, because you're fishing, boom, you have an alibi.
Anything is possible with this case.
That's what I'm saying. Let's not exclude the fishing. Let's not exclude the jogging, the walking, even the sightseeing, Lover's Lane. What else was there? Football, soccer, baseball, track, basketball. Even walking your dog, because it's a popular park to walk your dogs too. And these dogs, you can put them in the actual football field. They let them play in there. I've seen a couple dogs being trained in there. But there's somebody's phone has some good information on there, and you just don't know it yet, because maybe that person doesn't even know that there's an actual child missing, because not a lot of people still know that there's a child missing out there in Cumberland County. And it's sad, because it's just because not enough word is coming out about her, that It's taking time to reach people. I am a people watcher. I know my body really. Yeah. Well, I mean, if the guy, if we notice that guy at the store looking at her like she was eye candy, we would notice somebody, at the park looking at eye candy. But it can't get any stranger on how swiftly she left out of the park with him. Because if at no time was he dragging her by the arm she didn't kick, she didn't yell, she didn't scream. She allowed herself to get in that car. And when she allowed herself to get in that car without knowing what was going to happen, that means because at some point she could have became familiar with this person in the park. Because, it could have just been in the park.
That's what I'm saying. It leads me to believe that if the mother's telling the truth that she was funny about people she didn't know, then I find it hard to believe that it was somebody that she didn't know. It had to have been somebody that she was somewhat familiar with, in order for her to just turn her missing without no kind of commotion, no screaming, no, as far as we know anyway.
Yeah, because those witnesses said that they seen him buckling her up. Yes, kitty cats. She wasn't screaming, she wasn't yelling. But just because we say that she might have known the person doesn't mean that it could have been her family. It just states that she could have established a relationship with this person in the park. It being that she was in the park a lot, it could have been something that, another parent and she recognized them, or maybe she even went to school with the guys' kids. And not all the time in school do we see which parents come through and are talking to our own children in a school setting. So with that being said, we'll talk to you guys. Maybe we'll come on here tomorrow or another day. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget that no matter how it gets, you guys keep on spreading awareness for Dulce, because she could have been your child. I'm done.
All right. So, like she said, to be aware is to be alive. Be vigilant. Keep our eye on everything. If you was out in that park on September 16th of 2019, go through your pictures, go through your TikTok videos, all that good stuff. Look through all your things and see if you may have something of significance that could help find this little girl. As you guys know, there's a reward of $75,000. The phone number is 856-451-0033. That's the phone number to the Bristol Police Department. You could contact the feds, dialing 1-800-FBI. And you contact the FBI people there. You could you could call and be anonymous. You don't have to worry about being illegal. You're good on that end. You know what I'm saying? Just help find this little girl if you have any type of anything, any type of information, any type of anything.
And I believe that I googled something about a humanitarian citizen too. That if they were like a witness to a crime, they'll automatically get humanitarian. What is that? Citizenship. Maybe if you guys want to look into that more. But there is a thing that if they were involved in a criminal crime, which kidnapping is a criminal crime, and somebody knows some information but that person is undocumented, you knowing about that crime will kind of give you a safe zone not to be deported.
Oh, there you have it. I didn't know that one. So
it's part of.
There you have it.
It came out in the article.
You might want to look into that if you are an illegal citizen in the United States, and then you got some information you might want to look into that. But with that said, my good peoples, we will catch y'all on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Moises Beauchamp. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and that bell. Like that, you are sure to be notified when we go live or we upload. Once again, to be aware is to be alive. Be sure to go through all your stuff if you was there on that September 16th of 2019. One love, my good people. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Gone.